I have been wanting for quite some time to discuss the latest developments in the Russia hoax that was perpetrated on Donald Trump starting way back in 2015. It's like 10 years old, and we've been waiting for 10 years for justice to be done, and waiting and waiting and waiting, but nothing has happened. And now within the last couple of weeks, we have seen the proof of the involvement of the players, the actors involved in this hoax that was designed to keep Donald Trump out of the White House in 2016. By the way, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me here on Wednesday morning. I have been reading and studying so much over the last few hours about some of these recent developments that I want to share with you this morning, and I'm still trying to put a lot of this stuff together in my head, so I want you to please bear with me as I work through this. This is a massive story with so many tentacles involving so many actors in so many places. This is the conspiracy of a lifetime. This is the biggest scandal of our nation since the Kennedy assassination, I would maintain. This is huge. You had a coordinated effort to keep the duly elected President-elect of the United States out of the White House, and once he was in, which was not supposed to happen, every effort was made to disqualify him, impeach him, convict him, remove him. Everything was done to get him out of the White House. And of course, we know about the 2020 election, which was rife with corruption, and we wound up with Biden in the White House for 4 years, and the efforts continued to keep Trump as far away as possible from the White House. And here we are today with all of this evidence, and there's undoubtedly so much more to come, which is exposing this scandal of a lifetime, of a generation. This is massive. We are sitting on a volcano under our feet that is ready to erupt. And this is going to shake this nation to its core. And it is time for some powerful people to find their spine, stand up for what is right, and go after the perpetrators of this hoax on the American people who betrayed our trust, broke our laws, and got away with it scot-free thus far. But something has got to be done to show the American people once and for all that we are a nation of laws, and the law must be applied to every citizen, whether you are a peasant or a pauper or a king or a multi-billionaire or a former president yourself. This has got to happen, and it is time for people who are currently in positions of power to have the spine, the guts, the balls to do the right thing and to stand up to these evil, corrupt people who lied to us for years and did, in my opinion, the most unspeakable things to keep Donald Trump far away from the White House. Now, I have issues with Donald Trump, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about fraud and corruption, and this is just the beginning, folks. I mean, I don't know how many videos are to come with regard to the Russia hoax. I got dry mouth. Oh, thank the Lord for coffee. One place I want to start in this video, and this is all I'm going to talk about today. This is, every day it seems like there's more and more of a revelation. And by the way, let me insert this, folks. You know, the business of journalism is no longer being done by broadcast media. We all know that by now. It's not being done by cable news. We all know that by now. They're all slanted and they're all biased and they're all in colleague with all the wrong people in positions of power within the American government. It's just a cesspool inside the District of Corruption, D.C. So to find the truth anymore, you've got to dig. And now, if you want to find the truth, sad to say, but it's just a fact, you've got to go to places like YouTube and find obscure channels like mine, or there are other more powerful voices, such as Benny Johnson would be one. The Duran is certainly another channel. Thank God for these voices that you can listen to that have the boldness to come forth with the truth and have the discipline to do the heavy lifting and the work of digging to find out what the truth is that they can report to those who are watching. Look, I know my role. I know my place. I'm just one guy down here in Alabama. I got a full-time job. I don't do this for a living. I do this just because it's on my heart. It's on my mind. I care about my country and I want the truth. I am concerned about my country and the powers that be and where they are taking us. And right now I am concerned about this conspiracy of the century, and we have got to get to the bottom of it. So in my free time, which ain't much, I do as much digging as I can. I've unearthed something today that I want to share with you for your consideration. What I'm about to present to you is a theory. I do not have proof. I do not claim to have proof. But this is some compelling, really compelling evidence that I'm going to give you for your consideration. And I would suggest that you take this ball and run with it and do your own digging and find out whatever you can about this, and see if this doesn't begin to make sense, and see if this doesn't begin to tie some loose ends together. This reporting was done largely by a man by the name of Wayne Allen Root, who is in Las Vegas, and he writes, I'm going to quote some of the things he writes and give my own commentary. He starts by saying, Watergate was a zit, Russiagate is a cancer. This is a coup. Insurrection and treason by Obama, Hillary, and their deep state communist cabal, all wrapped into the biggest scandal in the history of the United States. Now, he uses the word treason, and it may well be. I think I prefer the word sedition, which is treasonous in nature. I don't know what formal charges might be brought against these people, if any, but they damn sure need to be, because these people have perpetrated a hoax, an absolute hoax on every American, and it should piss all 300 plus million of us off. Whether you're a fan of Donald Trump or not, that is irrelevant at this point, folks. A hoax has been perpetrated on us by this cabal, this communistic cabal of America-hating Democrats like Obama and Hillary. Not all Democrats, by the way. I shouldn't have said that. Not all Democrats, as you will see in this theory given for your consideration. The mainstream media is once again gaslighting us at the highest levels while whistling past the graveyard. Why? Because this is their scandal. They were in on it. From the first day, they were in on it. As the PR wing of the Democratic Party and various communistic traitors hell-bent on the international destruction of America. Here are some shocking and remarkable things that we now know. First of all, we all know that Barack Hussein Obama ordered the spying on candidate Trump to help his Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton, win the presidency. We know this. We all know that Obama ordered and coordinated the Russian collusion conspiracy to destroy President Trump's first term, after he pulled off one of the greatest upsets in political history over Hillary Clinton. And I am betting that that wasn't all that Barack Obama ordered. Wayne Root contends that Obama ordered the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, where all of the FBI agents had orders of shoot to kill, the multiple fake indictments against Donald Trump, which the deep state hoped would help put him in prison for life, the civil trials to bankrupt Trump, and quite possibly the 2 attempts on Trump's life as well. Why? Why would this happen? It's all because Obama, Biden, and Hillary were all thick as thieves. There's no question about that in my mind whatsoever. They had all participated in multiple criminal conspiracies during the Obama presidency, from the pay-for-play Clinton Foundation, you remember that deal, which trading a $100 million donation from Russia for a portion of United States uranium stock, to Joe and Hunter Biden's audacious extortion of Ukraine and China, to the cover-up of the deadly disaster at Benghazi, to Operation Fast and Furious, where Attorney General Eric Holder sold guns to Mexican drug cartels, to the pallets of cash on an unmarked cargo plane to Iran, to the massive Lois Lerner IRS scandal, where Obama illegally used the IRS to destroy opponents and critics of his administration. Do you remember that? You remember the Lois Lerner scandal? Lois Lerner, in her authority as director of the IRS, went after targeted religious groups with extra scrutiny by IRS agents, including federal audits of their tax returns, etc., etc. She went after Catholic charities. She went after a myriad of religious groups while she was director of the IRS, until she was finally busted under Trump. And now she's disappeared. That was ordered by Barack Obama. Don't forget that, folks. And all these things that I mentioned, it's all coming to light now. Now, Trump could expose all of the Obama and Hillary scams and bring down all of the dirty players. As Hillary Clinton is rumored to have said, quote, "If Trump wins, we're all going to hang from nooses," unquote. Trump had to be stopped at all costs. This was a life and death situation. So, to prevent indictments, arrests, perp walks, long prison terms, or quite possibly the death penalty for treason, and the destruction of their legacies, Obama, Hillary, and company were willing to do virtually anything necessary to cover up their crimes. You've heard many of the names of the key players in this conspiracy of the century. Brennan, Clapper, Comey, how about McCabe, Peter Strzok, Carter Page, Rod Rosenstein. More about him in a minute. It's a long, long list. But here is a blast from the past. Now, this is where it gets interesting if it's not already, so fasten your seatbelts. A D.C. swamp deep state all-star player that President Trump's Department of Justice and FBI should be investigating, who may well prove to be the key to this entire conspiracy, that would be a man by the name of former Senator and Attorney General Jeff Sessions of the state of Alabama. Is it possible that Jeff Sessions, a Republican, is the key to unraveling the mysteries, those that are left, of the entire Russiagate conspiracies? Now hold that thought as I continue, because this thing is incestuous and it just goes on and on and on and on. Bear with me. I had a knock at my front door. This is real life. I had to answer my door. It was Amazon. All right, here we go. Is it possible, ladies and gentlemen, that the Obama-Hillary coup started with Jeff Sessions? Thank you, Amazon. Timing is everything. Is it possible that the entire coup began with Jeff Sessions in 2015 as soon as candidate Trump started to gain momentum? That was the very first move, the theory goes, of the Obama-Hillary conspiracy. Now, folks, I remember this very well because I'm in Alabama. I know who Jeff Sessions is. I can tell you that when Donald Trump got started in his quest for the presidency, the first rally that he held was in Mobile, Alabama. It was held at a stadium in Mobile that sat tens of thousands of people. They play college football there. And the place was packed, and it was an overflow crowd. And Donald Trump was there giving a speech. To be honest, I can't remember if this was before or after he announced for the presidency, but it doesn't really matter. He obviously had momentum on his side, and the people were responding to his Make America Great Again message. And at that rally in Mobile, Alabama, was the junior senator from the state of Alabama, Jeff Sessions, who was wearing a MAGA hat, and he proclaimed at the podium, "Man, this is a movement." And he was exactly right. And from that point forward, Trump would go all over the United States and give these rallies to packed audiences in stadiums and arenas. It was like a rock concert. You couldn't fit all the people in. You had to put them in outside there was just overflow. The overflow was everywhere he went. He was a rock star. And though the American people were just dying for leadership like this, they hadn't heard this, some of them in their entire life. And Sessions was bright enough to understand this, and he latched himself. He was the first major politician to align himself with Donald Trump, this senator from Alabama. Now, Sessions became the first serious and credible establishment politician to support Trump, as I said. He attended the Trump rallies, and he stood on stage next to candidate Trump, and he spoke at the rallies, which gave Trump DC gravitas, shall we say. Sessions' presence made Trump more palatable and more acceptable as a candidate, even though he was viewed as an outsider and certainly not a member of the deep state, which he vowed to destroy. He didn't, but let's not get sidetracked. But Sessions by his side, Sessions had been in Washington as senator for years and years, and Sessions at his side gave Trump some measure of credibility where he needed it within more establishment type circles. Now, Trump didn't need credibility among the rank and file American. They loved his America First message. They were digging it. They were supporting him all the way, whether Sessions was there or not. But the fact that Sessions was present at the rallies, again, gave Trump some credibility that may have been necessary for him in his appeal to certain classes of people in the United States whose support he needed, quite frankly, to win the White House. You remember, the power base of the GOP has always been localized in the Northeast, folks. The Republican Party has traditionally been a liberal party. The rank and file, not the rank and file, but the elites, the Bush types, the Romney types, the Rockefeller types in the Republican Party, they didn't like Ronald Reagan. They detested Ronald Reagan. They didn't support Ronald Reagan. They wanted George Bush, and of course they finally got him. They certainly didn't want Donald Trump. But the people were with Trump, but Sessions gave credence to Trump among that elite class. Not that it necessarily worked. I mean, who knows how many of them voted for him. Probably a lot of them voted for Hillary, just like Liz Cheney voted for Harris in the last election. But what did Jeff Sessions tell Donald Trump that he wanted if Trump won? Because when you do what Jeff Sessions did, when you lend your weight as a United States Senator to a candidate, there is usually a string attached, even if it's unspoken. You are essentially doing a favor for this candidate, and it's just kind of generally expected that you will be rewarded for your loyalty, and of course it was. Now, I don't know if Sessions came right out and told Trump, I'm going to support you, but I want this in return. Maybe he did. I don't know. But that's kind of a given that Trump, in gratitude for the support of Jeff Sessions, bestowed upon him a powerful position in government. And that position, as we saw, was Attorney General. And the theory goes, now stay with me here and think about this. This theory goes that this was all a setup. Is it possible that Sessions was a plant by the D.C. establishment or by Lord Obama himself? Now, if you think that sounds crazy, just sit tight because I'm not done. Sessions, the theory goes, was the perfect insurance policy. Now, think about this. So, Sessions is with Trump. Let's say, for the moment, that he is insurance by the deep state, maybe to keep an eye out on Donald Trump or something like that. But let's fast forward to the start of the Trump presidency. It wasn't supposed to happen. Everybody said Hillary's going to win. Of course, we all know what happened in 2015 and the election, and Trump shocks the world and defeats Hillary Clinton, who was supposed to be president. It was her God-given right to be president, don't you know? It was her destiny, and of course, Trump spoiled all that, which gave her even more motivation to get involved in this scandal. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's fast forward to the start of the Trump presidency. Do you remember I remember this vividly. What is one of the first things that Attorney General Jeff Sessions did upon assuming office? We already heard the rumblings, folks, about Russian collusion. They were already saying, as soon as Trump won, that the only reason Donald Trump won is because Russia interfered in our elections. The only reason Donald Trump became the president-elect is Russia, Russia, Russia. It was because he was in bed with Vladimir Putin. That's how he won. And we had hearings, and we had meetings, and we had confabs about what are we going to do about this Russian collusion, and how can we figure out and prove that they tinkered with all of our election systems and somehow got into our systems and turned Hillary votes into Trump votes. How did Putin pull this off? It was Russia, Russia, Russia. Of course, it wasn't Russia. It was Obama, Hillary. That we know. That's not a theory. We know that now. But we're just digging deeper right now to find out how all this happened. So at that time, in late 2015, when President-elect Trump was about to become president the following January, you were already hearing this talk. So it was already something that had to be dealt with, this Russia collusion story and this Steele dossier that we knew nothing about, but apparently that was legitimate, and we had to look into this. So as we start to look into the Russia collusion story and the Steele dossier, what did Attorney General Jeff Sessions do? Do you remember? He recused himself. You remember that? Jeff Sessions said, I can't. I'm just not that, because I'm such a great ally of Donald Trump. You know, I can't let there be any sign or any demonstration of favoritism. I mean, since Trump is my man and I'm working for Trump, and since I'm a Trump ally, and I have been since that first rally in Mobile, and all through this campaign, I've been an ally of Donald Trump. I've been at his right hand this whole time. And now it's time to investigate the Russia hoax or the Russia conspiracy. Well, I can't do that because I'm an ally of Donald Trump, and it wouldn't be objective. We couldn't pursue justice in this case with me. So I'm going to do the fair thing, the right thing. I'm going to stay above the fray. I'm going to wash my hands of this whole thing, and I'm going to recuse myself because I'm such a good man. I'm so highly moral and etc. Yada, yada, yada. And I'm going to turn this investigation over to my associate, the Deputy Attorney General, a man by the name of Rod Rosenstein. Now, when Rod Rosenstein took over the investigation of Russian collusion into American elections, what did Rod Rosenstein do? Rod Rosenstein selected a special counselor to investigate Russian collusion, and that was a man by the name of Robert Mueller. You remember Robert Mueller? Robert Mueller, former director of the FBI. Now, the theory goes that Mueller was a plant from the start into the Trump president. The theory goes that Sessions, not Mueller, that Sessions was possibly a plant in the Trump campaign from the start. But now we know that, or rather the theory states he was a plant from the start, and that he was there on behalf of the deep state, and he was their insurance policy. The insurance policy that Obama and company needed to start the phony Russia collusion investigation, the dark shadow that hung over the first term of Donald Trump and remains with us today. We're still waiting on justice to be done. Sessions is proof that this conspiracy against Donald Trump started long before Trump's election as president. It started early in the Trump presidential campaign with Obama in the White House. That's part of the theory. So what do we do about this? Here's what we do about this. The problem here is who we've got as Attorney General now. We need a Tom Homan type figure as Attorney General. Instead, we've got Pam Bondi as Attorney General. We can only pray that she'll swing for the fences finally, stand up and do the right thing. I wouldn't get my hopes up, but what's got to happen now, folks, is that we have got to get Jeff Sessions, who is out of politics now, we've got to get Jeff Sessions before a grand jury, swear him in and twist his arm, threaten him with prison for the rest of his life. But if you offer Senator Jeff Sessions immunity to implicate Obama and Hillary, it might be a different story. At that point, if he has immunity, is it possible we would hear that Jeff Sessions admit before a grand jury that he was working for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton all along? Is it possible that Jeff Sessions of Alabama is the key to the entire Russia collusion conspiracy? Now, folks, I don't have proof of this, and I readily tell you that. I could be all wet on this thing. But I ain't afraid to ask questions, and I ain't afraid to present theories, and I absolutely said from the beginning, this is a theory. But right now, since we can't get the truth, we got to look at every avenue with a magnifying glass, look for any clues that we can find to see what the hell actually happened when this hoax was perpetrated on us. If we can't get the truth from our own damn government, then we the people have got to do the work ourselves. And I'm telling you, this theory to me is quite plausible, and now it is quite suspicious to me that Jeff Sessions of Alabama, a senator in the Washington cabal for years and years, why did he suddenly wind up at the right hand of Donald Trump when nobody else would? Why Sessions? I get the fact that he was generally regarded as a conservative, and he was in the conservative, largely state of Alabama. I understand all that. But why Sessions from the beginning? Why was he with Trump in Mobile, Alabama, at that stadium overflowing with tens and tens of thousands of people? Was it just political expediency, or was he sent there? Was he a watchdog sent there from somebody? Was he doing the work of the deep state to keep an eye on Donald Trump? I don't know, but a lot of this makes sense to me, and these are the kinds of questions we need to be asking. This idea, this theory did not originate with me. I first heard about it from Wayne Allen Root. But you sure as hell don't hear this being talked about on broadcast news, the CNNs of the world, the MSNBCs of the world, the NPRs of the world, who completely ignore this story. They offer nothing. You got to go to YouTube, and you got to go to podcasts where honest people are asking honest questions, trying to find answers. This we know. There was a hoax perpetrated on the American people on behalf of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. We know that. But is Jeff Sessions the key that unlocks the rest of this mystery for the American people? I would love nothing more than to see, if it takes granting him immunity, then so be it. All I want is the truth. And good old boy Jeff Sessions of Alabama, if they get him to put his hand on the Bible and give him immunity, we might just get a lot more than maybe we even bargained for. Now, that is a theory about the Russiagate conspiracy. As I said, a lot of evidence has already been released. We already know for a fact that the dossier, the Steele dossier, was a hoax. We know that. We've got proof of that already. We knew it all along. Now we've got the proof. We've got proof that Hillary Clinton was behind this thing. We've got proof of these other players, Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Strzok and Page, and on it goes. I have no doubt Obama, who, by the way, to this day lives right down the street from the White House. Did you know that? You know, most presidents leave office and go to their home in California or Kennebunkport or wherever. Obama said, yeah, I'm not in office, but I ain't going nowhere. I'm just walk down the street to my new house. He's still there. Shine in the light, folks. Shine in the light. You may think I'm crazy, and maybe I am. But this is something that needs to be talked about incessantly until we get answers. And this is one theory for you to consider. So much to talk about, but I had to cover this today. So thank you for listening. If you would please do me a favor, give me a thumbs up on the video. This needs to get out. Give me the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. All the contact information is down below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you soon.